You've heard me say it before, craft space organization is not a one and done. If you've reorganized the same spot multiple times and it still isn't working, it's not a motivation problem, it's a decision problem. Today we're figuring out whether your craft space just needs a tweak or a bigger reset. Hey everybody, it's Whitney with Girl Friday Crafts. Welcome back to my organizing tip of the week. This is our last video for February where we've been talking about fine tuning, and we're going to talk today about how to figure out what your craft space really needs if you're in that place of there's just certain things that are driving me crazy. So this month we focused on refinement. Last week we talked about how to diagnose really if your why your craft room drifts out of alignment. So if you didn't catch last week's video, you can absolutely find that here on my channel. And this week we're going to talk about how to decide what level of change you actually need in your craft space. So last week we talked about 4 different kinds of drift in your craft space. If I say craft space one more time, y'all are free to stop watching the video. No, don't do that. The different kinds of drift, again, we addressed that in last week's video and in last week's little worksheet. But just as a quick refresh, there's habit drift, volume drift, rhythm drift, and identity drift. And each different one of those requires a different level of change in terms of how to address your space. So let's talk a little bit about how to determine, do you just need a tweak or do you need a big overhaul? Signs that you only need a tweak are things like the problem that you're having is isolated to one zone in your craft space or one supply category, not the whole entire area. You had a system that worked before and it's recently stopped working for you. You can very clearly articulate your friction point. Like, this is hard to put away, or I don't have room for this. Like, I don't know what the problem is. You know very clearly what the problem is. Your storage space and room exists, but it doesn't flow well. It feels clunky to you when you are trying to get things out or put them away or both. And so in these instances, it's a friction issue. It's not a failure to organize your space issue. It's just this small tension around one spot that you need to kind of dissect a little bit further. Signs that you need more of an overhaul or a bigger reset, and this is actually where I have been for the past few months, are you've reorganized the same area multiple times. You are out of physical capacity. That's where I am. Your crafting habits have changed significantly. So either the amount of time you spend, the type of crafting you do, the amount of time you spend while you're crafting. So maybe before it was only 30 minutes and now you're crafting for like 3 hours at a stretch, or vice versa. Everything is stored by where it fits versus how you use it and when you use it. We addressed that actually multiple times in some of the previous videos. You feel completely overwhelmed every time you walk into the space. Needing a reset also doesn't mean failure. It just means things have changed for you and your craft space hasn't adapted to that change. So there's a decision filter to make here. Is this a friction problem or is this a capacity problem? That's one question. Is it an access problem or is it a category problem? That's another question. And then the last question is, does the system, structure, setup, whatever word works best for you, match how I craft today? And so after you've sort of thought about those 3 questions and dug deeper into that, the next steps are, if it's a tweak, address that one friction point. If it's a tune-up, tweak, but in a different word, right? You rebuild a simple rhythm. And that is like a there's a system that's not working for you that worked for you before. If it's a reset, you have to start by getting clear on what you're trying to accomplish. If this is the first time you've come into this video series, or you've only joined us in the past couple weeks and you're feeling like, ugh, I need a reset, go back to the beginning of the year in these videos. They're short. There's not a single one that's more than like 15, 20 minutes. Because we actually did start out the year sort of talking about some bigger overhaul and reset steps that you could take. And so that might help you not be so completely overwhelmed if you're like, oh my God, I need a reset and I don't know where to do. I gotcha. I'm here. The trick is you don't have to do everything. You just need to do the next right thing. And so your step is to figure out what's the next right thing. In the video description, there is a link to this week's download worksheet. It's a craft space decision tree. It will help you work through some of what we've talked about. And it's designed to help you determine whether you need a tweak, you need a tune-up, a mini reset, or a full reset. So it's actually sort of structured a little bit deeper than just tweak or reset, because there's middle grounds there, and it'll help you figure that out. I would say that organizing is not a hobby, but for those of us who love it, it can actually be a hobby. But at some point you have to recognize that reorganizing the same space over and over again is actually could be indicative of an issue with how that space is organized to begin with. And to be able to get it organized right actually frees up time to do crafting, our other favorite hobby. So check out the download, check out the worksheet. Let me know what you think about this month's video series. If you have any questions or comments, drop them below for me. I will be back next week with a new video, and we are going to start also talking about a boot camp that I am going to be running in March to kind of help put some of these things in place. So if you are interested in that, make sure you like, subscribe to get notified when I post new videos, download that worksheet. And I will be back next week and we'll share all the goodies about that and also what our March series is going to be about. I will talk to y'all later. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Bye, everybody.